The Michael Berry Show.
I get an email every day from David Malsby at Camp Hope of who today's Camp Hope hero is. And it's somebody who did something yesterday or the day before for Camp Hope. And sometimes it's writing a big check. He told me that the budget is $500,000 under, today's the last day of the fiscal year, as it will be for a number of you on a September 30 fiscal year. And I said, did we meet our number? And he said, no, we're 500,000 short. But don't worry, because my immediate answer is always cut expenses, cut expenses, cut expenses. But I've also, in the past, you will remember Mac and I raised $1 million on the spot in one morning when Camp Hope was in financial peril after everything that happened with COVID. One of the things that doesn't get discussed is how charities were hit so hard by COVID. Philanthropy went way down after that. So he said, don't worry, Michael, we'll get back on pace and we're going to be fine, and we'll make the cuts we need to, and we'll get there. But every day he sends me something, whether it's a financial donation, somebody, a lot of things. Weatherford, they do their annual fundraiser. They've done this for 10 years now. They've raised over $1 million, the Weatherford employees, for Camp Hope. It's incredible. Veterans helping veterans survive and thrive, because 22 veterans a day committing suicide is something we can do something about immediately in our own community. And people come from all over the country to come to Camp Hope right here in Houston and this facility. That's something to be proud of. So he sent me a message that there's a group called Young Men's Service League, the Oaks, that's the location, and they were out, and it's young kids, Hispanic, black, white, they look very young. I mean, I say very young to me. They looked, 12, 13, 14, but I'm at an age where I can't tell. I can't tell how old people are. And they were doing projects there, and that, how that touched the veterans, that these young people were coming and supporting them and showing love to them. And that's not lost. You're in the program for 6 months, and it's a long haul. You were suicidal when you walked in the door. You need something to make you, to lift your spirits. And so the woman who was leading the charge is a woman named Shannah Quinn. I assumed she worked for Young Men's Service League. That was her job. Turns out I think that's her volunteer work. I asked her to come on and share about this organization because it looks like they're doing some pretty cool stuff. Shannah?
Hi, good morning.
What is your role with the Young Men's Service League?
My role for this year is Ultimate Gift Chair.
And so what does that mean?
So the Young Men's Service League is a national organization with local chapters. So our chapter, the Oaks, is based in South Montgomery County. So most of our kids go to Grand Oaks High School, Oak Ridge High School, and some private schools, here and there dotted in. But we are high school aged young men and moms and their moms, and we do service together. That's the premise. And so our chapter is only 3 years old. This is our third year as a chapter. The first years I was on the founding board as VP Philanthropy. So I was tasked with partnering with philanthropies in our community that needed service. We are not a fundraising group. We are only a service group. So we just go out and help these organizations where they need it. And I feel like we've done a good job of building strong partnerships. And one of the fellows that I met when I was procuring these philanthropies for our chapter to serve, one of the philanthropies was Abundant Harvest. And at that time, I met the guy who was the development guy there, and his name was Chris Fahey. And he was a graduate of Camp Hope. So he, also shared with me about Camp Hope. And it just kind of, how things go, and then that happened, and then that happened. And so that's how I learned about Camp Hope, went out there, had a tour, met Spencer, and I said, okay, how can we get involved here, And then we had this Ultimate Gift Project, which is basically a very large-scale project that the entire chapter serves on the same thing. So you're talking 400 man-hours, right? Because we have about 200 members, and everybody has to serve a minimum of 2 hours. And so it has to be a large-scale project. And I had been out to Camp Hope, and I told Spencer, I said, do you have a wish list of things that you'd like to be done around here? I know, like, writing checks, but we're not a writing checks group, right? We're a let's do stuff group. And he said, well, yeah, we do have a wish list. And he sends me the wish list, and I looked it over, and I said, okay, we'll do those things. He said, which things? I said, all of them. He was like, okay, let's slow your roll there, babe, you know?
I love this story so much. Hold on just a moment. The organization is called Young Men's Service League. The location is The Oaks. Her name is Shannah Quinn. We'll leave her coming up. Maybe audibly laugh when I tell a joke like that, so I know you thought it was funny.
Mr. Michael Berry.
Oh, no, I won't do that.
It's too much, Ramona.
Yeah.
She won't go that far.
That was so funny.
So much of life is attitude. And what attitude you choose. I'm amazed how often I will say to people, you know, hey, you and I have talked 20 times in the last year. And all 20 times, you're really wound up about something. And that person will say, as if they have no control over it, just fell from sky. Well, yeah, because, no. You're choosing that. Well, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They're attacking Trump. The Muslims are doing this. Or the illegals are doing this, or this group is doing this. And I say, yes, there are things with which you disagree, but there has to be balance in your life. Find some happiness. Go find it. It's out there. You got to go find it. It doesn't come knocking on your door. It doesn't say, hey, I'm happiness. Go find it. That's what I love about this story, about this organization, about what this woman is doing, about the effect that it had at Camp Hope. Shannah Quinn, what is your day job? Did I see you work for a title company?
I do. I sell title insurance.
You are the first title agent I have ever known to say it in those terms. I had a real estate company in the late 90s, and there was always a really cute girl who worked for the title company who would come pick up your back. This was back when the title companies could bring you gift cards. They could take you to lunch. They could do something. I think now you're limited like a pin or something.
We can still go have lunch, but yeah, you can't, TDI, you know, they have their hands in it. It's regulated, very heavily regulated by TDI. So,
well, I don't know how long you've been in the business, but I'm telling you, in the late 90s, when a title agent would come to the door, it was the one person who would come who was selling something that you would be happy to. Back then, I was just happy to get a free lunch, but you would be happy they were there because they would come bearing gifts. And then all of a sudden, boom, it changed.
Yeah, it was like I had a friend who was a drug rep in the early 2000s, and boy, they had a good time too.
Well.
Yeah, things are different now. Well, so back to YMSL. I liked what you were saying when you were kind of bringing the show back about, you know, yes, there's bad things happening all around you. You don't have control over any of that, but the only thing you can control is how you show up, how you respond, how your attitude is about it, right? So I think if you shut down that noise of what's happening in the world around you and you get out there and start looking, you know, it doesn't take long to find somebody that needs a little bit of help, right? So just get to service, and I think that's where you kind of start to feel closest to God too, is when you're in service of others.
It sounded like in your description of Young Men's Service League that these are fatherless homes. Is that right?
Like us with our kids? No.
I mean the young men who are part of this group. It sounds like they do not have a father in the home.
No, incorrect. No. It's just that we, like the moms and sons in the family, are going and serving together. But has nothing to do with
Oh,
it. They're
okay.
not dads.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's
No,
kind
I
of neat.
I would say actually the opposite might be more true for YMSL because I feel like the chapters tend to be in more upper middle class areas, upper middle class areas that tend to have both parents at home and higher, income demographic. So, I mean, yeah.
I love it on multiple levels. I love the mother-son time together doing something, so you get a sense of accomplishment and bonding and challenges and service. I think service is an important element to our Christian faith, and I think that's important. It's an action, not just a faith. And I love the idea that people who are the beneficiaries of this see this. Got to put a smile on your face and know that other people took time out of their day. And I love that it is action. I love looking at the photos. You sent several photos, or you posted several photos, and seeing the photos of the young men in action, getting in there with the mulch and the wheelbarrow and stuff like that. I don't know how many of those kids do that on the regular, but I'm guessing probably not that often. And it looked like they were having one heck of a good time doing manual labor.
They were, I always say, because where our chapter is, it's South Montgomery County, so I don't know how familiar you are, but 99 east of 45, right? So I call it the bubble of privilege that our kids live in because they've gone to school, their whole lives in the same little area, like, their feeder schools, the same neighborhoods. They've grown up with the same kids their whole lives and had kind of a little idyllic childhood. And so when we're going out and serving and they are leaving their bubble, I call it, it's good. It's good for them to see that. And they are never once have I ever been at any of our service events where any of these, privileged kids have balked at getting their hands dirty. They get right in there, they get to work, they don't complain. They're really remarkable young men. And we say young men, they're not boys at this age, right? Like we're raising young men. We want them to go into the community and be leaders. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
I love this. How does somebody who wants to get involved with you? How do they reach you through this organization or whoever at the organization would be the contact?
So ymsl.org is the national website, and you can search for a local chapter. In 8th grade is when you join. So, because they start in 9th grade, so spring of your 8th grade year, like summer before your freshman year of high school. But they do kind of like membership drives that, late winter, early spring. So I would say if you have a son in 8th grade, that it would be time to kind of start looking into that and applying. There is a membership dues component to it. It's not very much if you think about an activity for a whole year, it's not much at all.
Well, I got to say, you mentioned early on that this is it's a service league, not a fundraising. And I think that's important because a lot of charities devolve into that. Shannah Quinn, God bless you for what you're doing. Young Men's Service League, her location is the Oaks, if you want to get involved.